Hey everybody, welcome to the Literary Gamers, and we're going to be doing our top 10 games of 2020. My name is Matt the Dice Chucker, and I'm joined by Jenn, the board game librarian. I have no idea why it took in a breath so long before I said your name.
Did you forget my name?
No.
You sure?
I'm positive.
Okay.
So, there's a few things I want to talk about. First, we have not played all the games of 2020, and I kind of want to do this list again in June of 2021, because I'm going to look at our pile over there, tons of piles of games that we got to go through. I see Valor and Villainy, which I haven't played enough to review, Unicorn Fever, Aquatica, Honey Buzz, Pan Am, Fossilis. So when you say, why aren't those on here? I haven't played them yet. So maybe we'll revisit this back in June and see if it still stands.
Yeah, and people who have followed us for a while will know too that we play a very eclectic group of games. We call ourselves omnivore gamers. There's not necessarily any more Euro games and American style games. And you'll see that, I think, pretty clearly on both of our lists, that both of us do this. So there are 10. We did no honorable mentions. There might be some crossovers. Oh, you did a new to me.
Do you have a new to you? I asked you that like last week.
Yeah, you did, and I don't think I really have a thought on that.
A disclaimer. I know Isle of Cats came out this year, technically, and we both love it, and it'd probably be our number one, but BGG says it's 2019, so it's not on the list. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. These Kickstarter games with the dates that are not correct are very confusing for those who like making lists. So,
I'll start with my new to me, so you can think about your new to me.
Okay, I'm gonna turn around and look at the show.
So this year, we got a bunch. I had a lot of games that could have been my favorite new to me game. I finally got into the game Go. But I think the best new to me game this year is D-Day Dice. You've heard me talk about D-Day Dice on our D list. It shot all the way up to number 3 on that list. There's so much content for that game. I think right now we have 30 different maps that we can pick from. And now we've got the expansion where somebody can play as the Nazi army instead of the cooperative nature of the game. It's competitive now. D-Day Dice is a great game. If you see it on the shelf, definitely pick it up. I don't think you'll regret it. Especially if you're a World War II fan but don't want to play the Hex and Counter style heavy games.
It's actually a fairly decent entry-level war game, too.
Yeah.
Or it's not even necessarily a war game, it's more of a resource management game.
It is, yeah.
We've talked about that before. So yes, we actually did come up with my favorite new to me game, and that was Chicago Express.
Oh yeah? We actually bought those both on the same day.
Oh, that's right, we did, yes. Down at Citadel Game Cellar in Groton, Connecticut. So yeah, I guess I like train games. I'm still like with a big question mark. As long as they're not 6 hours long and they can be played by 2 players. That's
really the biggest hurdle with us when it comes to the 18XX series, is most of them have that 3-player minimum.
Yeah, Chicago Express, we're probably going to end up switching out the money for poker chips, because the money is just like, well, I can see why train gamers do that and play with poker chips. But it's a really easy game to play, and we've played it quite a number of times since we brought it home Liberty Weekend.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to start with our number 10s.
My number 10... is The Batman Who Laughs Rising by the OP. This is maybe my favorite in the franchise. I have a Working Breakfast segment coming out soon, or has come out. And I think it's the most mature, both artwork and mechanics-wise, of the series. And I can play as Wonder Woman, so that right there is a selling point. And she looks pretty awesome, and the artwork that they chose for her. I think I love the way the villains come out. They're triggered differently than they are in almost all of the other games, where when you reach a certain point on like the tracks, the villains come out and come to the top of the deck. You don't have to like wait. And wade through the deck. You can kind of just get down to business of sorts. So that is my number 10.
My number 10 is Project Elite. There's not much I'm going to say about this game because you have it further up on your list, but it was described to me, it was basically you're shooting aliens for about 10-15 minutes and rolling dice and just moving in the chaos of the real-time. I love real-time games. And especially when I can chuck dice and chuck dice and chuck dice and shoot up some aliens and kind of, that's all you need in life, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of Halo, which is one of the reasons why I like it. So, Project Elite, my number 10. My number 9 is a game, and I'm going to preface this with a lot of talking because I can hear the typing in the background as soon as I mention this. How could it be higher than Project Elite? This game has a mission. It's being sold at amusement parks, and a specific type of amusement park too. And it's Disney's The Haunted Mansion, Call of the Spirits. They're selling this in Disney World.
Thumbs down.
Unsubscribe. They're selling this game in Disney World, and they are selling it to people who have never heard of games outside of the mass market stuff. Yes, there's a Haunted Mansion Game of Life that they sell down there, but this is, a set collection game where you're moving around the mansion getting some ghosts. The detail in this game is phenomenal. I'm a huge fan of Haunted Mansion lore. The board is actually laid out in the pattern that your Doom buggy moves throughout the Haunted Mansion. The safest part in the whole board is the seance parlor, which is right in the middle of the whole thing. And the fact that, of course, they couldn't have 999 cards in the game because there's 999 ghosts in the Haunted Mansion. But they do have 99 ghosts in the game, and I think that's just awesome the way they paid attention to the details. My only downside of the game is the same thing with one of the other games we own. The haunt cards are the tiniest little cards that you can bend really easily, but otherwise it is a great thematic game. They're trying to reach out to an audience, and this is Funko Games, correct? Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's Funko Games. They're trying to reach out to an audience that doesn't play this style of game. And I hope that it's working where they're basically seeing it in the amusement park saying, this looks like fun, and it can help them get into designer games. Now I'm going to stop talking about the Haunted Mansion because I could be here all day talking about it.
You could be. I think just narrowly missed my top 10. I was really surprised with this. We had heard not amazing things about Jungle Cruise. So I really wanted it to be good for Matt because he loves Haunted Mansion. And I think it's pretty solid. I agree. We put the Haunted Mansion music on in the background. I think the artwork is really great too on it. The different amount of cards. So yeah, it's a great pick. My number 9 is Calico by I want to say Flat Earth Games every time, but it's not Flat Earth.
It's AEG.
Flat Out Games and AEG. I've talked about this in other videos. Our C video, favorite game. Oh, this just missed favorite games with cats, didn't it? Where, how can I not love a game that has the ginger jerk on the cover? Oh, I just heard like a bang upstairs. It's great,
I think
folks.
they're playing. So.
It's great. It's so much, I think it's a really deceptive game. We've talked about this before too, where it's, polynomial tiling game.
No, it's just standard hexes.
Oh, it's hexes. It's a hex game where you are trying to make patterns, but it's so thinky. It's so brain burny. And you have to make decisions whether, you're going to try to go for... I've never met anyone who's done all three out of
it's hard.
3 objectives.
Got to be really lucky on how those tiles come out.
Yeah. So Calico, number 9. My number 8 is Chancellorsville 1863 by Worthington Games. So we talked at the beginning of the video here, how we play all kinds of things, and Matt and I play light war games, I would say. We're not huge, like, big chit, big battle war gamers.
We do like a lot of the commands and colors and hold the line stuff. So.
Yep. So we do really enjoy playing those, and this, I think, was a delightful surprise. I think it had a lot that was different. It's a 2-player game. You can play in probably 90 minutes. The hidden movement part of it was good. I said before, I wish there was more of that. A card-based game where you have quite a bit of decision and strategy making ability. And I've lost every time.
No.
I did. Yeah, But you are trying to take a certain amount of objective points as the Union player.
And hold them.
So I think I need to play the Confederates next time.
Okay, whatever you say.
So that's my number 8.
My number 8, Jen already mentioned, and that's the Batman Who Laughs Rising. I really do enjoy this game. I think it took a lot of the elements from all the different Rising games. I don't know if you can see them. We have quite a few of them up there, so we're fans of the system. It took a lot of elements from the other ones and kind of said what works, what doesn't work. The thing I love the most here is the track, that even when the Batman Who Laughs comes out, you have basically 6 cubes worth of time to destroy it. So even then, like, we've played games of Harry Potter's Death Eaters Rising, and they get long, because even after Voldemort comes out, you know, the way you have to wound him is different. And so it can go on, and sometimes it's an hour or 15 minutes, and a Rising game should not last an hour and 15 minutes. This one actually works on the timer. So that's one of the reasons I like it. The pressure is there to try to build up your team as best as you can, even with villains popping out like crazy. Because sometimes if that track gets out of control, all you're having is villains come out.
Yeah.
Because they can pile up. So, really solid game. So my number 8 is the Batman Who Laughs Rising. So my number 7 is The Stygian Society, a game by Kevin Wilson and published by 8 Games. The Stygian Society is a very interesting cube tower game where you are kind of moving through a tower to try to get to the top and beat the boss. And the cubes you drop are the attacks you can make, but you're also dropping villain cubes as well, so they'll be able to attack you depending on where the cubes land. The first day I got this, we were playing this up at the store, and we played 3 or 4 times in one day. Like, I brought a bunch of other stuff with me, and we just sat there and kept playing this game over and over and over again, just to kind of see it. It's without even using some of the expansion material. It's just really neat, the way that it works, and how your attacks can happen. Everyone levels up at the same time too, so not, because it can happen, I'm not saying I've experienced it, where when it's time to level up, one person just snatches up all the XP and uses it to up their character while everyone's left behind. I'm not saying you. No, I'm not saying you.
Wait, you looked at me.
No, I'm not saying you. I've experienced it where someone decides that they're going to be the one to level up instead of anyone else at the board. This stops that from happening because everyone levels up.
Yeah.
Even if they're just standing there swinging at the air. So, Stygian Society is a really solid game, and it's not so much a dungeon crawl. It's a tower crawl.
Yeah, the cube tower part to me is very clever. There's definitely not enough cube towers in games, although it seems in the last year there's been 2, Edge of Darkness and this. And some of the other cube tower games are 3+, so we haven't played them. I don't like this one nearly as much as Matt. I think I played it...
You've only played it once.
Once or twice. It's a cooperative game, and pretty clever.
Yeah.
Pretty clever. My number 7 is Project Elite. So mine showed up higher than yours did. I'm really surprised by this one. I liked it way more than I thought I was going to. Wow, the cats are down here now.
The cats are knocking down towers of games over there.
Oh, well, is it? It's almost, it's not quite 7 o'clock and food time. So when Matt was talking about Halo, you don't want to play Halo with me because I have terrible video game skills and I just spin in circles. shooting the air. But in Project Elite, I actually feel like I'm being useful and helpful. And it really does have that, I mean, you gotta go aspect to it. I like the real-time part in it. You're rolling dice as fast as you can. You're like rolling dice with one hand and picking up with the other, and you're like screaming, I got it! And sometimes
you try to shoot something that the other person has already moved without you noticing that you were trying to shoot it.
Yeah, that probably happened. And I think the miniatures on this, the Command version, are pretty good. We have no frame of reference, but we've heard the horror stories, so I really liked Project Elite.
So the reason that it's so low on my list, and I've talked about this with other people who own Project Elite, is it doesn't seem like they're having way too much fun in the hallway. Sorry about this, everybody. It doesn't seem like Command is looking to publish the expansions of the first round ever again. Without, they did it through the Kickstarter, and perhaps when they do an expansion for Project Elite, they'll offer the first round expansions again, but it doesn't seem like any of the expansions that were printed for Kickstarter are ever going to retail.
Not on the Command store?
Haven't seen them. But I haven't looked in a while either, so.
Yeah, probably since we...
If the expansions were available, it probably would have climbed up a few steps, but that's why it's lower on mine list.
So on to number 6, and this had been on your list for a while, and a couple of things bounced it out.
I had a feeling the two of those would, too.
Yeah.
We'll talk about them in a second, everybody.
So, my number 6 is Roman Roll from PSC. So this is the heavy roll and write that they came out with, about mid-year.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this one. You do, too. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure that it's bounced out our favorite, which is Fleet the Dice game.
Yeah.
Oh my. Well, yeah. So people are, whatting and moaning about the dry ease boards. They're, whatting about the shapes, right, and having to write on there. I don't know. I'm not perturbed by any of this.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot going on in Roman Roll, so if you've played Fleet the Dice game, I would really recommend you check this out, because I think you'll like it. There's dice drafting in it as well, dice manipulation, and a lot of options, too, for what you can do. So Roman
and everything
Roll
really clicks together.
It does.
Like, you're not doing things just to do things. Everything has its purpose. Like, there are some roll and writes out there where I feel like, especially in some of the games where the dice are popping out of the screen of black, and it looks like they're bouncing around on the cover.
Oh, yes.
That style
like
of game.
The Sean Clever
Yeah,
line.
that style of cover. Sometimes you're doing things in roll and writes where you're doing it because there's nothing else to do, and you don't even want to do that. But... sneeze?
No, it was a yawn.
Oh.
And Roman Roll does have individual player abilities.
Yeah. So Roman Roll never feels like you're doing something for the sake of doing something.
No, it's a bunch of different things that you can do.
I am not a fan of the Tiny Epic games because there's just something I feel when I pick up a small game that this should be easy to play and not too heavy. And after 30 minutes of setup, I'm like, how come it's just so difficult? But Tiny Epic Dinosaurs was just a blast. Gamelin Games, and 2 to 4, I believe. The theming on it, and it's basically a dinosaur farm. I wouldn't even call it a park.
Yeah.
Basically a dinosaur farm. As some of the things are just kind of hysterical. You have the dice that you roll when you're getting the dinosaurs being born, or you're picking it up, and the dinosaur might wound you, so you have to lose that worker for the rest of the round because they're in the medic tent. It's just a ton of fun to play, and every decision you make is logical, as logical as owning a dinosaur farm would be. If you have an open path on your farm with a T-Rex into like a Brontosaurus area, it's gonna eat it. So. Just a lot of really fun moments. packed into such a small game. So my number 6, Tiny Epic Dinosaurs.
You and I only played this once together, and I feel like I didn't get a super great grasp on what I was doing, maybe. I thought it was cute.
Now, this makes me look forward to Tiny Epic Pirates, which is coming soon. So my number 5 is one of the 2 illustrious games that basically kicked two other games off the list. And this is Lost Ruins of Arnak. I think I've heard this so many times watching other people's top 10 videos. Deck building is back. And it's variable enough now and to see that, they combined it with worker placement and track climbing. Now, Lost Ruins of Arnak, sometimes you feel like there was one of the games you and I played together where my deck was just not working with me, and I kept getting stuck at locations with Guardians, and I kept having to take fear cards, and that was all I was getting in my hand sometimes. So that's why it's a little lower than the other deck builder on the list, spoiler alert. But it has a great theme, great production, and it's so fast that you can play it again as soon as you're done. And one of the things I really love is at the beginning of the game, standard cards that you're going to use to enhance what you're doing are out there in droves, and then the artifact cards are not. And as the game goes by, the artifact card line gets longer, the standard cards get shorter. So it gives you a chance to build up your deck with something first before not like some deck builders, expensive cards are out there right away and you can't do anything.
Yeah.
So Lost Ruins of Arnak, my number 5.
My number 5 is another roll and write that uses Dryese boards, and it's Super Skill Pinball. 4K, which I forget every time.
We've only played 2 Cades out of the 4 Cades.
Yes, and this, I believe, is Z-Man Games.
WizKids.
It's WizKids, sorry.
Jeff Engelstein.
I had seen this on Instagram or Twitter, and people were playing it, and I think I encouraged you to bring it home, possibly. Yep.
The pictures the weird thing too is the pictures I was seeing was the first one that suggests you play, which is the Carnival, and I was like, it just looks a little trippy. I was like, I don't know if I want to bring home a game that looks really trippy, but I do not regret picking this up. This is fantastic.
It is. It's a lot of fun, whereas Roman Roll is very thinky, and you have a lot of meaty decisions to make. Super Skill Pinball 4 Arcade, you still do, but I think it captures the essence of being in front of an actual pinball machine.
It does.
So good choices, lots of fun. I like that you can finish before someone else, depending on how you've picked things out.
It might not be good if you
it might not be good though. Where if you are still left, you can keep going until you're done. Again, as Matt said, we've only done 2 out of the 4 arcades, and I think you liked it solo as well.
Yeah, there's really no change solo. It's just anyway.
So and pretty reasonably priced. Came with all of the different pinballs, pinball machines, basically, for you to get, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. We've played it a lot already. My number 4 is Matt's number 5. Woo! And that is Lost Ruins of Arnak. I like it for all the same reasons that Matt did. Deck building is one of my favorite mechanics in a board game, and I think the theme sells me a lot on this. We don't have any exploration games like this that have that Escape.
Yeah. Escape is the only game we have that has that Indiana Jones adventure style feel.
We've played others, and I think this just has a lot to offer. I like the production, like you said, from CGE. I think it all flows really well, but you do need to focus of sorts on, am I going to go and defeat the creatures and the guardians? Am I going to go work on a really big deck? Am I going to try to climb up those tracks? Because trying to do everything is not necessarily possible. So I don't really have anything else to add to my thoughts on Lost Ruins of Arnak.
All right. My number 4, when I heard that they were going to reprint Hero Quest, I was kind of excited. I'd never played Hero Quest. I'd only heard rumors about it. And then I watched the promo video, and the roll and move aspect was still there, and I was kind of like, eh. And then I heard about this game called Alter Quest. I know you don't like it.
I do.
Okay, all right.
I do. We need to play it again. It's just like
yes,
Stygian Society, where I've played it twice. It's such a big game that I don't feel like I haven't seen everything.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Alter Quest is just one of those games where when I learned how to play it, I didn't quite know what I was doing, but I was having a good time. And then as I learned more about it, I was like, oh, this all makes sense now. Everything's clicking into place for me. Love the furniture. I know it could easily just be a door standee like in another dungeon crawl we own, but instead it's actually a plastic door, and I'm probably going to end up painting this.
That was your bribery with me. Jenn, it has a bookcase.
It's our bookcase in there.
You're going to love it. It has a bookcase.
Of course you do. So Alter Quest is you're kind of going through this dungeon trying to find an altar. You're trying to get items for the quest of whichever one it is, and it's got this really cool system of where you can build your own style of game where you have to pick a quest, you have to pick the enemies, and you have to pick the boss, and they can be any combination of what, unless you're playing the campaign, of what you would like. Like last time I was fighting the I think it was a pirate queen and vampires, and I was just looking through for stuff. It was, I think, The Search, which was, I think that's like the intro one. I played that one solo. I made it far, but I lost. And exploding dice. I love exploding dice. Because every time you think, there's no way I can beat this because I don't have the dice to roll for testing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you get like 6 explosions in a row, and you're like, ooh, this is great.
Definitely saved our butts a couple of times when we played together.
So Alter Quest, my number 4, check it out. And if you have an opportunity to pick up the stretch goals with it in the stretch goal box, definitely do it. You're not going to be disappointed. So our number 3s are both the same.
Oh, we're so cute. I don't know what look he's making, folks. When we first got into the hobby, we picked up Twilight Struggle. We enjoyed it. Cold War era history is not really our thing. Unless it's spies, I guess.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we don't hate the Cold War.
No, but Imperial Struggle, when it was announced, England versus France, and that whole, I think it's like the 18th and...
Like the
17th and 18th century era, and I was like, I'm sold. This game takes some of the card play out of it a bit. There's still cards you can play, but you're kind of vying more for tiles that give you the actions that you can do.
Oh yeah,
spread around the board, and you have the peace turns, which is basically where you're doing the bulk of your actions, and then wartime, where you're kind of seeing what you did and how well you did it. So for me, the engine that was built around Imperial Struggle was very good. I liked the theme. People are in the comments going to ask me, do you like it better than Twilight? I think I like both evenly.
Yeah. I know Cody from the Discriminating Gamer. I think he still ended up liking Twilight Struggle more.
But still a good game.
Yeah, I love the look of this game, where it's got that old map, antique looking, very antique looking, with the 3 concentric circles. I guess that's what they're called. Yeah. We need to play this again because I had a hissy fit at the end of the game. I was winning. And then we had a disagreement. And then I backed off. And then I lost. And then I was mad. I was really mad. So at least we got a good story out of it.
Yeah, it sounds like a great story.
Hey, you were part of that story too.
Yeah. A lot of the disagreement comes in the fact that while this is a better rulebook than some past games from GMT, it still has that outline style rulebook, and so some of it was confusing what we were trying to decipher, and that's what we had disagreed upon. Anyway, Imperial Struggle. For a game that got such a rise out of Jenn, she still enjoys it. So
I do. I mean, that doesn't matter to me necessarily. I was mad at the end of it, but that doesn't mean that
Okay.
If I'm that mad that I lost, that means I probably had a good time and I was mad I didn't win. So, or I actually thought that my strategy was working.
Well, we're about to talk about a game that got you even more mad the 4 times in 2 days we played it.
I won once.
Exactly, because you were ruthless that time.
I was ruthless this time, folks. I was like, I am not backing down.
All right, so... Number 2.
Our number 2 is Dune Imperium by Direwolf Games. So there's been some talk online of should I get Dune Imperium or Lost Ruins of Arnak, and I guess that for you is, do you like sci-fi things or do you like Indiana Jones things?
Do you like both?
Do you like both? I'd have them both, I suppose. In essence, they do have the same deck building, worker placement, and track movement. But Dune Imperium to me is a tighter experience. And I feel like from the very get-go, I need to be doing things. Although I suppose in Lost Ruins of Arnak too. So scratch that.
In Dune Imperium, if you're not slicing necks by round 1, you're going to lose.
Yeah. You definitely need to be paying attention to the 4 tracks, the 4 houses of sorts, I guess, that are on the side. Because if you're behind on those, it can affect locations you can go on the map, cards that you can use and purchase, and other things as well.
You pretty much have a good win strategy if you're going to go with the Fremen or the Bene Gesserit, because they have more cards that can link together in the deck for the deck building portion than any of the 4 factions on the side.
Yeah, I think it's pretty tense throughout. I like it a lot of 2 players. I don't mind the dummy player. We always call him... What do we call him?
So it's time for Dum Dum to go.
Yeah, we call him Dum Dum. Come here, Dum Dum. I think the production is pretty good. I'm not upset by the not spice-looking spices or money-looking money.
I'm looking forward to the upgrade pack.
Sure. I mean,
I do think it's hysterical. There have been people online who used their Mission Red Planet astronauts for the cubes in Dune Imperium. It just gives the combat a comical look.
Oh, for the combat part?
Yeah.
You can play it in 2.
Solo is fantastic. I really enjoyed it. Because you're still playing against 2 people.
Right.
And... you know, the locations they go to and the things they can pull off, it's easy for you to see, you know, the doom coming. And when I played solo myself, I did everything I could to get enough victory points to just slide over the edge to get in. It was with intrigue cards that I won. But the solo was really good, really well done. Which in the end means that Dune Imperium really needs to always be a 3-player game in some way. Yeah,
I suppose so. It's the same designer as Clank. So if you like Clank, you'll probably like this as well.
And it's nice and short, too. And I think that's... So people have asked me, do I buy Dune Imperium or do I buy Dune, the reprint? And
more than 2 people?
First off, is do you have more than 2 people? And I've even heard that Dune really needs to be a 4-player game.
Yeah.
And then the other question is, do you want a game in an hour to an hour and a half experience? Or 6 to 7 to even 8 hours experience? So, that'll tell you which Dune game you want.
I have a flooferoni over here who doesn't want to come up.
So I'm going to do my number 1 first because it's already been mentioned.
Okay.
And then you can do the grand finale with your number 1. My number 1 is Chancellorsville 1863. I have a Masters in Civil War history, and I've always been looking for a good battle game that wasn't a scenario-based war game. Chancellorsville really surprised me. and the fact that it's so simple, and in some ways the design is rather elegant. The way combat works is one of the easiest things in a war game that I've ever seen. Yes. The theme, as far as the cards that come out and the tactics that you use are there, and I think they really did a good job with Chancellorsville 1863. I'm not going to say much more about it, because everything I wanted to say about it, you've said already.
It's very solid. And I don't think it's too war gamery. I think it's very accessible.
Just a heads up, I still have not yet played Freeman's Farm, so please don't ask me.
Yeah.
Because that was last year's. Because Chancellorsville is the second in a series of games like this.
Yeah.
So, I haven't played it yet. I'm hoping to.
Okay. My number one for the second year in a row is a Plaid Hat game, and it is Forgotten Waters. So this came out way earlier in the year. And
I almost forgot it came out in 2020.
Yeah, that is the problem with games that come out very early in the year. I love the turn that Plaid Hat is making with some of their games to this storybook style game where you are essentially using this book as as your game board. You get to choose your character, and you get to Mad Lib style fill some things in. You get to level them up. You get to do skill checks. Neither one of us are RPG players, so this is probably pretty close.
Yeah.
For us, there's a lot of storytelling going on, and the voice acting that went into the app is so good, so awesome. That alone right there, I think, is worth the entire experience. The last game we played got really long.
But we got to a save point.
We did.
The ship barely careened into the harbor for a save point. I think it had one whole point left.
Yeah. So there's, all the choices that you make have ramifications in the game. I hope that Plaid Hat puts out more characters that you can insert in. Because we've gone through
a few of them now.
8 characters so far in the 2 games, because we play the 2-player variant of the 2 characters each.
Yeah.
And make it a 4-player game, essentially. There's the real-time aspect of putting your characters down on actions. But a lot of fun. I think it's a lot of fun. It would be kind of fun if they tied it into the Ashes universe. I don't know, throwing that out there.
Okay.
All right, folks. What are your favorites from 2020? Any that we mentioned that you are really enthusiastic about as well? What did we leave off of our list? And do you have anything you're looking forward to for 2021 yet? Anything that's been announced? I'm Jen, the board game librarian.
I'm Matt, the dice checker.
And happy 2021, everyone.
See you later.
See you later.
Bye.